Congressman Donald Trump.
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border. That's a Trump wall, beautiful wall. I will build the greatest wall that you've ever seen. They ever put my name on, I want a gorgeous wall. You know? The Trump wall, oh, will that be a beautiful. Let's say the wall costs $4 billion. You know, they say $10 billion. That means $4 billion, if you know what you're doing.
Which I would say is an insane magic trick if I thought his tiny fingers could wrap all the way around a magic wand.
The Supreme Court has now swept aside long-standing legal precedent in its ruling today overturning that Chevron doctrine, majorly curtailing the power of federal agencies to interpret the laws they regulate. The decision is expected to have far-reaching implications on everything from the environment to healthcare.
America is not one thing. It's a beautiful mess of contradictions where good and bad are mixed together. On one hand, it makes Mountain Dew, which tastes like a honeydew melon was fucked by a radioactive clown.
I want to talk about Chevron deference.
America first. America first. America first again. America first. America first. It will be America first from now on. America first.
Whatever fabricated story sounded the least plausible to the average person always seemed to be what made the most sense to Carly.
I like him. He tells it like it is.
He says what he means. I honestly believe he's telling the truth.
He's funding his own campaign. Nobody owns him.
He's aggressive, and he's strong, and he's bold.
It was Antifa attacking the Capitol to stop the transfer of power to Biden for some reason. Yeah, sounds about right to Carly.
I think he's an incredible businessman. If he runs the country like he runs his organization, we would be in good shape.
You're going to build the wall? What's it going to be made out of?
Oh. Hey, that's a good question. Lift him up here. Bring him up here.
What are the walls going to be made out of?
I'll tell you what it's going to be made of. It's going to be made of hardened concrete, and it's going to be made out of rebar and steel.
Mike Pence is actually a lizard person sent from the future to help Joe Biden cheat. Hell yeah, she said when she heard that one. That makes total sense to me.
This here is the Rio Grande River. It cuts all the way. You can see it makes a natural crescent there. This is Mexico, all back here. Here's where the wall's built. So all of this golf course is now stuck in between Mexico and this border fence.
$1 billion. A wall gets built. It's going to cost $10 billion to build the wall. Okay, it's a lot of money. It's a wall. The wall's going to cost $10 billion. Maybe 12, depending.
You see, the problem with Carly was absorbing the falsehoods she was told without question turned into a habit for her very quickly. At first, she was only addicted to Facebook and Fox News.
Clean water, clean air, healthcare, gun regulations. Give us a sense of the potential real-world impact.
Oh yeah, I think it's very, in the short term especially, it's going to create an enormous amount of instability. And I think that, again, I think we don't know how far reaching it's going to be in terms of unsettling established regulatory precedents in the clean air realm, in the preservation of, clean water, a whole slew of environmental and health regulations. And that there'll be a lot of gamesmanship, as we've seen elsewhere, in terms of seeking out favorable courts to sort of upend long-standing regulatory regimes.
But when her god emperor told her that Fox wasn't good anymore, she started to watch Newsmax as well.
It also made this awesome bed shaped like the Batmobile. You can fall asleep in that thing and be Batman if Batman somehow got locked out of the Batcave and had to sleep in his car.
I know that no one seemed to notice that the Supreme Court gutted the EPA and every other regulation that we have.
Fence has posed dangers to the survival in the US of everything from jaguars to pronghorns to pygmy owls.
She still watched her regular hours of Fox News, only now she simply lied and said she didn't. Sort of like how she pretended to stop using Twitter after Donny Shits in Pants got himself banned.
To waive 36 laws to build the fence, including the Endangered Species Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act, and the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act.
Fragments of human remains were found in heavy equipment tracks on the Christian Ranch archaeological site. a site now crossed by barriers and the border road. Imagine a bulldozer in your family graveyard.
The mindless loyalty she showers upon that idiot with the 14-inch long sideburns can never fade, even momentarily.
Matter of the Chevron doctrine promoting stability within the law.
I think it's right. I mean, I think that the business community is split on this issue. I don't think that business interests are monolithic on this. And we see this reflected in other environmental disputes where some of the car companies are anxious to support EPA and others are skeptical. One thing for sure is, though,
talking over people, yelling incoherently, and what about isms? This would be how she would communicate with others from now on, if she was going to reach her new life's goal of making sure that everyone who knows her also hates her.
I'm really rich. I actually think I have the best temperament. People love me. And you know what? I've been very successful. Everybody loves me. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
Is that if this decision allows challengers to upend prior regimes, we're going to have a hard time knowing what the law is. And for some folks, that may create opportunities. This has the potential to be, at least in the short term, a very, very destabilizing for a whole range of stakeholders. Not just people concerned about health and the environment, but also folks in business.
And of course, the travel booking site GoTrump.com, whose brief existence was, I imagine, a real thorn in the side of anyone hoping GotRump.com featured a single thing worth masturbating to.
Biding her time until the weekend was a difficult task for Carly. The nonsensical lies and half-truths she had been gobbling up couldn't wait to find an outlet from which to spring forth.
What the Border Patrol says, and I've spoken to a lot of their people, is look, first of all, if you build a 30-foot wall, all it's going to do is create a market for 31-foot ladders.
Oh, you take precast plank, it comes 30 feet long, 40 feet long, 50 feet long. There's no ladder going over that. If they ever get up there, they're in trouble, because there's no way to get down. Maybe a rope.
Effectively, unless Congress says that a ladder has to be able to hold that many pounds, then there can be no regulation that says that a ladder can hold that many pounds.
Remember, when you're looking for a 31-foot ladder, avoid Werner. Climbing a Werner ladder is like dousing yourself in cooking grease and climbing a pile of tetanus. Do yourself a favor and get a DeWalt ladder. And I'm not being paid to say that, I'm just a fan.
Comes to great stakes, I've just raised the stakes. Trump steaks are the world's greatest steaks, and I mean that in every sense of the word. And the Sharper Image is the only store where you can buy them.
Do you know how or if this ruling today will affect cases that were already settled under the Chevron precedent?
It's an excellent question. The Chief Justice, in the majority opinion, says that those decisions should not be up for review merely because they depended on the Chevron deference or the Chevron doctrine. But Justice Kagan in her dissent says that's a very cold comfort, and I tend to agree. This is a very complicated question. It's sometimes very hard to parse out exactly why courts upheld regulations. And I fear that there will be many, many folks ready to test the limits here and to reopen past regulatory judgments and regimes.
I'm very, very proud of the fact that when I build, I have investors that follow me all over. People ask me, what does Trump stand for more than anything else? And if I use one word, it's always quality. I think it's a great time to start a mortgage company. We're going to have a great company. It's Trump Mortgage and TrumpMortgage.com, and it's going to be a terrific company.
Unless Congress passes a law specifically that says that forever chemicals can't be in your water, they can be. But it won't matter because the EPA won't have the right to go test it.
So this could affect everything from clean water, clean air, healthcare, gun regulations. Give us a sense of the potential real-world impact.
Oh yeah, I think it's very, in the short term, especially, it's going to create an enormous amount of instability. And I think that, again, I think we don't know how far-reaching it's going to be in terms of unsettling established regulatory precedents in the clean air realm, in the preservation of, clean water, a whole slew of environmental and health I do think that there's a real need for this kind of deference. Justice Kagan points to some examples. There are just so many things that judges just don't have the capacity to understand about amino acids or endangered species or manufacturing processes, where it makes good sense to listen to the agencies and the expertise that resides in the agencies.
Trump was an expert in these types of projects, or so we thought.
In a deposition for a lawsuit regarding the property, Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., conceded that the Trump brand could lead people to think a project was a solid investment.
There's one of the things that you've learned through this process is that the Trump name brings stability and or viability to the project.
I don't know if it brings stability or viability, but I imagine certain people feel that.
That you're not really in the United States or Mexico here.
I don't care where I am as long as I'm on a golf course.
Do you think it's helping with the security?
No. Stupid.
She said I was bankrupt. I never went bankrupt, so probably I'll sue her.
Homeland Security asked the Loops to sign away rights to their land for the fence. They said, no way.
I said, I'm not signing anything at this point, nothing. This is not possible.
So the government used the power of eminent domain and condemned their property.
This is a disaster.
And the Loops were not alone. Hundreds of property owners were sued by the federal government so the fence could be built.
Because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pocket.
You know, the court reversing a 40-year precedent here. What does all of this say about the Roberts Court's adherence to stare decisis?
We have entered into a whole new era with the Roberts Court. We saw that certainly in the Dobbs decision, and here as well, a desire to less sort of respect for stare decisis and more of an appetite for risk in terms of sort of unsettling established law and sort of seeing what happens next. And I think, to me, that is contrary to sort of traditional rule of law values.
I'm not going to make this a very long video. I don't want it to be very complicated. I want people to watch it. This is a disaster. Clean air, gone. Clean water, gone. You ever wonder what those Supreme Court justices are getting when they hang out with these billionaires? This is why they're being paid.
Somehow the world's most objectively laughable human has become a comedy graveyard where laughter goes to die.
Because of this case right here.
This was put up to illustrate to Joe, whoever up in Dubuque or someplace, they see a picture of this and they're overstuffed butts in an overstuffed chair looking at a too big TV, think, oh yeah, that'll stop them. Well, of course it doesn't.
I guess you get what you pay for. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy. Hey, by the way, please subscribe.
I remember once my father and I were walking down Fifth Avenue and there was a homeless person sitting right outside of Trump Tower. And I remember my father pointing to him and saying, you know, that guy has $8 billion more than me, because he was in such extreme debt at that point, you know?
The only way we can beat these people is if we get the word out. The only way we can get the word out is if everybody gets on board. And let me tell you, Joe might need some help. We have to beat these people. Please subscribe. I'll do my part. Like this video, you'll be doing yours. Thank you. And vote for Joe Biden.
The crime rates among immigrants once here are relatively tiny digits, which is something Donald Trump should frankly understand, given that he has 10 of them attached to his minuscule wrist. No shit.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't negotiate, let's investigate. We'll accelerate, allocate.